Hello and welcome to this product demo webinar by WebEngage. My name is Avantika Pandey. I am the community manager at WebEngage and the mediator for today's webinar. Before we get started, here are a few housekeeping topics. First, you'll be on the listen only mode. Second, we'll be recording this session and the recording will be made available to you in a couple of days. Third, we'll have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. But if you have any query during this session, you can put your questions in the comment box below and we'll address them later. Now, for those who don't know, WebEngage is a marketing cloud for consumer businesses. More than 42,000 online businesses have automated their end-to-end communication across users' lifecycle through our platform. We enable the B2C, their brands to engage, retain, grow their customer base via channels like email, SMS, web message, in-app, and web push notification. In today's webinar, we'll discuss how you can set up as well as start sending web push notifications via WebEngage in no time. And to explain you how, we have Lithan Thomas, who's a senior software engineer at WebEngage, and how we like to call him the web push top gun. Over to you, Lithan.
Hi, and good day to everyone joining in. This is the agenda for today. So we'll run down through how a web push works, from subscription, user subscribing in to sending a push notification. Then we'll cover how do you configure, how do you start using web push on WebEngage. Before that, you have to before you actually can send a single push notification, you have to configure something on WebEngage. So we'll walk you through that. So the options that we provide and the basic configuration that needs to be done, and then we move on to creating campaigns via WebEngage. I will discuss what is possible, what all you can show with with a web push, and also what is possible via targeting. And then we'll explain the reasons why WebEngage is the best fit for sending out or engaging with web push. Before we begin, this is a part 2 of our web push series. The session 1 of this series covered the basics, right? What is a web push notification? So it's effectively an engagement channel where you can engage with users who have opted in with some relevant message which you can personalize and customize to them. And it does not require a mobile app. You don't need to have a mobile app to reach these users on this push notification channel. You also don't need their private identifiers like a mobile number or email ID, but it does require opt-ins from the user. Okay, and all of this is initiated from your website. That's why it's called web push notifications. Okay. You can watch the webinar, the video of the previous webinar, by clicking on this link here on the slide. So you can just go through that and get to know the basics. So we'll start with how a web push works. Okay, just so that you get to know the components and the terms that are in play, and when you come to actually configuring this web push on WebEngage dashboard, you get a good idea about the terms that are there or the components that are in the play. Now, since we are talking about web push, we need to talk about browsers and we need to talk about browser support. So this slide shows all those browsers and OS combinations which currently support web push. Okay, so this is a recent innovation, and the latest versions of these browsers support web push. Okay. Now we are not. The thing is, Safari does support push notifications, but the way it does it, it uses a proprietary push protocol instead of the more widely supported web push standard, which Chrome and Firefox have are supporting. Okay, uh, and so we'll not be talking about Safari push notifications in this webinar. Okay, but one thing also to note is that all of these browsers, Chrome and Firefox at least, they don't support sending push notifications or subscribing to push notifications in private browsing mode or incognito mode. That's what it's called in Chrome. So here's a term that may be new to you guys. It's called a service worker. So what is a service worker? It's a JavaScript program. It's a JavaScript script which your site registers on the browser. Okay, and once it's registered, it keeps running on the browser even when the website is not open. So this is the core technology behind web push. Okay, so this is something that makes web push possible, because even though your site is not open, this part of your site or this program from your site keeps running and is able to show notifications on your site's behalf. Okay, and this this program has other capabilities as well. So it's also a core tech behind progressive web apps and other new features. The thing that people normally ask, why is web push only supported on HTTPS sites? This is the reason. Service workers only are supported on HTTPS sites because of some security reasons. They are only supported on HTTPS sites, and consequently, your web push notifications are only supported on HTTPS sites. Another component, so once the browser is registered, your service worker is registered on the browser, the other component that comes to play during subscription is a push service. So a push service is a backend system that you have for each of these browsers. So there's Firebase cloud messaging for Chrome and Mozilla push service for Firefox. These are push services that your browser connect to, and they remain connected to these push services while they are running. So Firebase Cloud Messaging was previously known as Google Cloud Messaging, which is also used for mobile push notifications. Once your site is loaded and is ready to show, ready to ask the user for permission to show notifications, you can prompt the user. So you can ask the browser to show that prompt, and a prompt, it looks like this on this slide. mysite.com wants to show notification. Okay, so this prompt is applicable for the full domain name. So if you have a domain called www.mysite.com, that prompt will only be applicable. The permission that the user gives is only applicable to that domain, the full domain, www.mysite.com. It does not work or is not apply for other of your subdomains like blog.mysite.com will not be affected, or the permission will not be affected by user granting permission on www.mysite.com. And the other thing to know is, if the user selects block on the prompt, they will never be shown the prompt again unless the user digs it or resets the setting from inside Chrome's settings, Chrome's or Firefox settings. Okay. And here's how what happens when the user clicks on allow. So your script or your website comes to know that the user is allowed. Now is allowed to subscribe to the push service and then receive notifications. So your site connects, or your site asks the browser to subscribe, and the browser in turn asks the push service to start the subscription process. During the subscription on Chrome, this file called manifest.json this row called manifest.json is required. It contains the FCM, or previously as it was called GCM, sender ID or the project number. Okay. It contains that piece of credential. So this request is sent to the push service to complete the subscription process, and the push service in turn returns a subscription object. A subscription object is an object of which contains a URL that uniquely identifies the browser and the device. And the browser, once it receives the subscription, generates a pair of encryption keys, and it provides that subscription object, the complete subscription object, to your site. The encryption keys are generated so that end-to-end encryption is possible. So any message that your application backend sends to the end user cannot be decrypted or deciphered by the systems in between, mainly the push service. It cannot read the contents of the message that you send. Now, once the site receives the subscription from the browser, it can then send that subscription, the subscription object, to its own backend. Or if you are using some vendor such as WebEngage, you can send it. WebEngage can collect the subscription itself and send it to its own backend. This was the subscription process. Now moving on to how it works while sending a push. So this component that is highlighted, is circled below, is called the application sender. It's where your push message originates. It's a service, it's a sender, it's a system that prepares a push message and requests the push service to deliver it to the end user's browser. Your so application sender starts sending the encrypted message, so it has to encrypt the message with the encryption keys that are present in the subscription object, and the encrypted message is sent to the push service on the URL that is also present in the subscription object. The push service, once it receives the message, it forwards it to the right device, and once that is done, once that is received by the browser, it wakes up the service worker, the relevant service worker of your site. Once service worker receives the message, it can act based on it. Most probably, it will just show up the notification, and once the notification is clicked, it will open up a CTA. Mostly, it's like a opening of a page. That's how it worked. It works across the board. Like every system that sends web push, or every site that takes in subscriptions, it works like that. Okay. Now coming on to how you'll get started. You can get started with WebEngage. So before you even begin, you have to first integrate our SDK, WebEngage SDK, on your site, the website SDK. Okay. So first, go to our dashboard and fill in your domain name, and you're presented with a snippet, a code snippet. I'll show you. So here's a screen where you configure the domain. So I've already put my site's domain, and I submit, and I present it with this snippet of code. Okay, take this snippet and place it on your site's markup. Once that is done, the integration is complete, the website integration complete. Uh, with that, you also have enabled our other engagement channels, on-site engagement channels, such as notification, surveys, and feedback. Now, you have to make an important decision here, the opt-in method. So as I said earlier, web push requires the user to explicitly opt in to receiving notifications. So since the service worker and consequently the web push notifications only work on sites that support HTTPS, there are two opt-in methods possible. The first is two-step opt-in and one-step opt-in. I'll go in the details. Two-step opt-in method is a workaround actually. You take the subscription on a WebEngage managed site. So if your site does not support HTTPS, you can rely on this method, and where the subscription is actually taken on a WebEngage managed site, like your site name .webengagepush.com. and notifications will appear to come from your site name .webengagepush.com. So that's the disadvantage of this opt-in method. You once you Before you even start using this, you have to decide what your site name is. It may be something relevant to your branding, and this method is easiest to get started with. You just configure, you fill in some details, and that's it. You just enable it, and it starts right from then. So here the flow is shown. So your site on your site, we show a pop-up in some corner of the site, where the user can click on allow, and once the user clicks on allow, a pop-up opens. A pop-up window opens where the actual subscription happens. The browser prompt is shown where the user can allow, and once the user allows, we show some acknowledgement message that the user is now subscribed. Coming to one-step opt-in method, uh, this is where the native browser permission request is directly shown on your site, on your site directly. So the first pop-up that appear on the site is not really needed. Push notifications also are seen as coming from your own site, and this is the best experience for a user. It's less intrusive, because user can block to never ever see the prompt again. And the disadvantage of this is it works only on HTTPS sites. Okay, so if you want to go with this opt-in method, your site has to be completely on HTTPS. The good thing about this is that this method shows us that a lot of people, there are the opt-in rates are higher in this method compared to the two-step opt-in method. Now, which is the better option for you? Okay. So to answer that, you can consider these three questions. Is your website entirely on HTTPS? If it is, or we are talking about entirely, like if some portions of your site is on HTTPS, and only the login page is on HTTPS, then it won't work. Second question you have to answer is, do you have developer access to your website? Can you upload files to the server and have them available or accessible from the outside world? If your site is hosted on platforms like Shopify or WordPress.com, you don't have developer access. Can you spare time and developers for the initial setup effort? If you have people working, the web developers who can spare time, there's some effort required, bunch of files to be uploaded to your server. If you can spare time, then if you cannot spare time, then you can only go with two-step opt-ins. So if any of the three questions, if they come out negative for you, then your only option is two-step opt-in. Otherwise, we recommend that you go with one-step opt-in. Now we'll go in detail and how you have to configure two-step opt-ins. So this is the page, this is our dashboard screen where you configure all the settings. So I'll just move you to the dashboard. So once I've configured, now I can move on to configuring web push, which is available from the integrations drop down under channel and the web push tab. The initial screen is, so you have to start using web push. You just click on this toggle and it autofills for some settings for you, like this is initially it sets up in a two-step opt-in mode, and it is automatically filled in your site's name or main name as the subdomain name for our own managed site. And then you can upload an application icon, an icon which can show up along with a push notification, or on the first pop-up that appears on the site. Okay. So this is the basic configuration, the bare minimum that you need to do. The next is you can design the opt-in pop-up that comes on your site. That's on this tab, opt-in notification tab. So this is where you can change the text. Change the position where it appears, bottom right or top right or top left, and the color, the background color of your the pop-up to make it seem part of your site, and the text color, the text color. You can also change the labels of the buttons. So this is how you configure or design the pop-up that appears on on your own site. The next is to design the pop-up window that appears. You can change a bit about that. You can change the text and the background color. That's over on the opt-in window tab. You can change the text and the background colors, and you can also upload a bigger logo. That's not the icon that I was talking about. You can upload a bigger logo for this pop-up window. That's how you get started with with two-step opt-ins. That's about it. Once you once you save the configuration, it'll just ask you whether have you can verify the settings and whether we can start showing the pop-up on your site. Once you click it, it's enabled, and now the pop-up will start appearing on your site, and the users can subscribe. Now coming to one-step opt-in method, uh, as I said, it requires some effort from your developers and some developer access needed on your web server. Before you start, you'll need to create an FCM project on the Firebase console. So you just create a project, put in a name, while it gets created, we'll just move on to the next slide. Yeah, I got it got created. So once you have done this, created the project, you can now go to project settings. Under the cloud messaging tab, you get a bunch of credentials. The sender ID and the server key are what we are looking for. Copy those or note them down, and they'll be useful later. Now you have to create two files. One you name manifest.json. The format of this file is something like this. Under your FCM sender ID, you place the sender ID you just noted down from Firebase. That's the series of digits. And you create another file which is serviceworker.js. Just put this one line in there, and then upload them to the root of your web server such that they are publicly accessible as these two URLs. Okay. Once you have uploaded the files, you put this link tag in every page under the head section. This will point the browsers to the correct location of manifest.json. Now once your server changes are done, you can come onto our dashboard. So initially your web push configuration on WebEngage will be in two-step mode. You can switch to one step by clicking on this checkbox. Just click OK, and then you're presented with the configuration for one-step opt-ins. The service worker path is usually this, as we have uploaded as the same name, the same path. You can upload, as with two-step opt-in, you can upload the icon for your push notifications, and then the server key that you noted down from FCM console, just paste it over here. That's a series of alphanumeric string characters. Just paste it down over here. Once that is done, click on save, and your web push subscription is enabled using one step opt-in. Coming to other options that we provide, we provide targeting where and when the prompt should show up. You can restrict the prompt to certain pages. You can specify rules on the page URL, and based on those rules, we show the prompt. Or you can choose to show it on every other page. You can limit the number of times the prompt shows up in a session. Like you can say 10 or 5 or something that's appropriate, that which is appropriate to you. You can also delay the prompt for say 5 seconds after page load. You have to delay the prompt till 5 seconds after page load. Uh, or if the user has scrolled a certain percentage of the screen, or until a custom event is fired, something like an added to wish list. So you can show the prompt when the user add something to a wish list, so that you can ask them to subscribe to notifications to get updates on that item. Acknowledgements are other options that we provide. So once the user subscribes in, the user is shown an acknowledgement message, something like thanks for subscribing, and some other description that you would want to put in with that message. So it's like a push notification that would want to show the user once he subscribes. You can customize the icon, the title, and the body of this acknowledgement message. Or if it does not suit your need, you can even disable it altogether. That's it about setting up subscriptions on WebEngage. Now we'll come to how do you send web push notifications via WebEngage. So what all a web push notification can have? It can have an icon. You can define an icon for every notification. You can specify the title. You can specify the description, and you can of course specify a click to action, which is a page URL which opens up when the user clicks on the notification. And this is only on Chrome. You can also have a big image that comes out below your description, and a set of two CTAs, additional CTAs with their own labels. Now I'll just show you how do you create a web push notification on dashboard, on WebEngage dashboard. So come on to the web push screen, click on plus to add a push notification. Just enter the title, moving on to the description. And in all those fields, you also have the option of personalization. This is a free account, that's why it does not the personalization option does not come up. But in a paid account, it will appear. You can specify the page URL, something like which opens up when the user clicks on the notification, and you can specify the icon for that specific campaign. Moving on. You also have an option. So I'll just upload an icon. Any dummy image as an icon for now. And then we get to see the advanced options. So this is a setting which is only available on Chrome. So once the user gets to see the notification, the use normally the notification disappears after 20 seconds. You can choose to keep it intact until the user clicks or dismisses it. That's how you configure or design your push notification. Coming to targeting options, we provide you with capabilities to target or filter out users where only those users who have been inactive in the last 48 hours you send it to them. So this feature is via segments. You can specify the relevant audience using segments, and you can also specify when to send. So you choose a segment over here, and you choose when to show this. So you can send it right away as soon as you activate this campaign. You can choose to send it right away, or you can choose to send it on a later date. You can even choose to make it recurring, send it on a weekly, daily basis at certain times, and you can specify the start and end times of this campaign. You can also specify to show this notification on a per user basis when the user does some action. So that's how you can decide on whom to send the notification and when to send the notification. Now we also provide you controls on when not to send the notification, and also when the notification should expire. If the user does not receive notification in a certain time, uh, the notification will be dropped and the user will not get to see the notification. So that's on the same page, on the same screen. You below you get some options. Frequency capping is there. You can specify weekly limits for user, daily limits for user, or monthly limits for the same user. Uh, you can specify whether the user is supposed to be not shown or sent a notification certain on certain hours of the day, uh, or if the user has blocked it, then you don't send it at all. Or you can queue it if the user is not supposed to receive the notification at that time. You can queue it for certain time. If the user is not available online at the same time, normally the push services keep it in their buffers for certain delay for certain time. For example, here we have mentioned that keep it alive for 2 days. So if the user comes back within that 2 day period, the user will be able to see the notification. You can reduce this down to whatever period the campaign should be for. That's how you specify notification expiry. And here are some best practices to keep in mind while designing push notifications. Web push notifications, keep the title and body under 40 and 120 characters respectively. So the title should be under 40 characters and the body, the description, should be under 120 characters. This is because the notifications themselves do not have much width, and usually the text gets trimmed if they exceed these limits. And whenever possible, you should send a contextual, a personalized notification for a relevant engagement. You can use web push notifications within journeys. This is an example on how you can smartly use web push notifications in a journey. You have to engage with the user. It doesn't matter to you what channel you use. So what we have done here is we first check whether the user is reachable on web push. If we find that the user is available, we engage with the user on web push. That's because sending a email may be costly. It charges. It has a cost uh, that the ESP reduces. Why would you choose WebEngage for sending out web push notifications? There are a couple of reasons. Uh, so you can control where and when the opt-in prompt shows up. You can, as I said, you can choose on what pages based on page rules. You can specify on which pages the notification the prompt should come up and when the prompt should come up. You can send a campaign to the relevant audience using segments, and you can personalize the same notification with user and even attributes, or even fetch some data from an external API from your system. You can send the notification in response to user actions, say added to cart or added to wish list, or send it on a recurring basis, on a schedule, as I said, on a daily or a weekly basis. You can also enforce DND, frequency capping, and message expiry. You can engage with the web push notifications in complex marketing workflows, like we just saw. And we also provide you analytics out of the box, analytics like conversion measurement, etc.
Thanks a lot, Lithin. That's it for today. We'll now start the Q&A session. Satyan wants to know, is WebEngage compatible with Shopify? And if not, what is the way out?
The answer to that is WebEngage is compatible with Shopify. It's just that it's not possible to set up a one-step opt-in with Shopify. So you have a way out. You can use two-step opt-ins.
Sahaya, you missed the web push webinar, and yeah, definitely we'll forward you the recording as soon as it will be available. Another question is, does WebEngage take care of the customization part and leave only the creative part for the brand to take care?
Yeah, we do provide customization options. You can always choose a color, the text that you want on the prompt, the pop-up, and of course in the campaigns.
So Mesh wants to know, can we schedule the web push the local time for each country? We will definitely take this feedback and work on it, Somesh. Can you guys hear us? I think the voice is failing. Can you guys hear us now? Could someone please let us know if you guys can hear us? All right. You can. So, would you want us to repeat any question? Please let us know. Okay. I think the internet is not really good right now because of the Mumbai rains. You guys must be knowing it. So let's just we can do one thing. You guys can mail us your questions. You can mail Lithin your questions directly. His email ID is lithin@webclipper.com, and we will also provide you the ID in the email post webinar email, and you can ask him the questions directly. So thank you so much, guys, for attending this. We are sorry we couldn't take most of your questions. If you want to know anything about your about our pricing, you can drop us a mail at support@webengage.com, or schedule a demo, and somebody will get back to you on that. Thank you so much for attending this webinar, and have a good day. Thank you. Bye bye.